What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another video. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. You know, we're really trying to grow this channel. We're pumping out 3 videos a week right now. And all of it is designed to help you guys catch more bass. You know, that's the goal of my whole channel, is I really want to help you guys, the viewers, the subscribers, everybody watching this video. I want to help you guys catch more bass. So hopefully you guys can learn something from this video, but today we're pulling out a box that, to be honest, I don't get to pull this box out very much. It's a very specific time of year, but that's the line through swim bait. So this is a big giant box. I got all my big giant line through swim baits. You know, if you've been following the channel, we kind of did a video on like the mag draft style swim baits for you know, kind of that pre-spawn time frame. But once those bass spawn and start moving out a little bit deeper, you know, that mag draft style swim bait doesn't really get down deeper once those fish get out on the ledges. So we're going to kind of dive in and talk about those big swim baits that'll get down a little bit deeper, whether it be like the mag draft freestyle on a big jig head or the line throughs like we have here. So we're going to kind of go through, talk about all my favorite big swim baits for once those bass get out a little bit deeper. Well, let's open up the box of goodness here. And there's a lot going on in here. I mean, I haven't found a good way to store all of these big baits other than this big giant box. I mean, it kind of sucks bringing it in the boat because it takes up so much storage in the boat. But I really like to keep these style baits in the package so it keeps the tails intact and doesn't get any kinks, and make sure that it swims right every time you use it. But, you know, this is one of my favorites right here. Whenever those bass get out deep on the ledges and you're trying to imitate a big gizzard shad. And this is just a Texas swim bait, Texas gizzard. So this is a, you know, it's a line through swim bait. The hook comes out the top here, but it's internally weighted. So there's a big weight in here. And I think there's a couple different sink rates. Yeah, so this one's a fast sink, and then we have a medium sink as well. And actually there's 2 different sizes you can see right there, just depending on the forage you're fishing for. But, you know, this is a very cool bait because, like I said, it's a line through. So once you get a bite and you hook that fish, this bait slides up your line and all that weight is not attached to the hook. So if that fish is jumping and thrashing, all he's connected to is the hook, and this big bait slides up the line and kind of gets out of the way. So it helps you land some more of those fish. But, you know, you're not going to find many better, more realistic imitators of a gizzard shad than this swim bait right here. You know, it's fairly soft. You know, it's got a great tail kick, and it kind of rolls a little bit. Looks just like a big gizzard shad swimming. And, you know, this is one of my first choices whenever they're feeding on those big gizzard shad. You know, when they feed on those gizzard shad is kind of, it's kind of tricky to figure out. You know, obviously the biggest fish in the lake are going to eat big baits. And whenever those, you know, say the Tennessee River fish get out on the ledges, they really love a big gizzard shad over, say, a threadfin shad. You know, they probably eat more threadfin shad throughout the day or throughout the year. But whenever they have the opportunity for a big gizzard shad, they can eat a big meal and just, you know, get all of those calories or that amount of protein in one meal rather than, say, 4 or 5 little thread fins. They're going to take that opportunity, and that's when I pick up this bait right here, is, you know, looking for those fish that are eating those big gizzard shad. All right, let's dive in, and we got my next option is the Boom Boom. There's the line through, the Boom Boom line through swim bait. So this is, again, it's a very similar style bait. It's internally weighted. You can actually see the weight inside that bait. You run your line through the nose here, and this one actually comes out the bottom. And then you're going to tie on to your treble hook. I always like to add at the very least a split ring, if not a swivel and a split ring to the end of your treble hook. That way, once that fish is hooked, You know, there's a little more play there with that swivel and that split ring. And honestly, it adds a little bit more weight to help this bait get down a little bit deeper. Now, this is, you know, obviously it's a little bit smaller. It can mimic different types of forages. So, you know, this is not just a gizzard shad imitator. This is more of a overall bait fish, big shad imitator. You know, it can imitate any type of shad that you have in your lake. But this bait, you know, it's not going to get down as deep as the other line through I showed you, but this bait, you know, can be fished offshore. You know, it just takes a little bit longer. You're gonna kind of slow it down and count it down to get it a little bit deeper. But, you know, the Boom Boom has caught many fish throughout the years, and it's still a staple. It's still in my boat in the line through swim bait category. So honestly, those are probably my two most used line through swim baits right there. Will be the Texas Gizzard and then the Boom Boom line through. You know, I have a few other options in here. So let me clarify. This is, where is the size on this? There's multiple sizes. I believe this is the 6-inch version of the line through Boom Boom. I also have a few of the 4-inch, but it's a much smaller bait, and honestly, I don't use them quite as much unless I'm fishing for that little bit smaller fish, but that's the 6-inch line through. We have a few of these guys right here, the Osprey. I mean, these are an old school California big line through style swim bait, but to be honest, I don't have a whole lot of experience throwing these, so I don't want to talk about them too much, but they're in here in my box. Now, I think that's all we got as far as line through. So here I have one pre-rigged. You can kind of see what I was talking about, add in the split ring and the swivel to the back of your line through. So you can see that one's rigged up. That one is one that I've thrown here recently, and you can see exactly how I set that up on the back of the line through. So that's my line through setup right there. You know, these, like I said, I keep it pretty simple, but it just sucks. It's such a big box and takes up so much space. Now, the other option you have for these bigger style swim baits getting down deeper is, I kind of mentioned in the beginning, is like a mag draft freestyle. So this is essentially the same body as the mag draft, but there's no harness, no hook or anything in there. This is just the body, just the bait. And it's up to you to rig it up however you want. So, well, this is actually the mag draft. This is actually the Bass Mafia version of the same bait, but you know, here you can see the two different baits. And you know, one option, probably the most common option, would be to rig it up on a big jig head like this. So this is, I think, a 3/4 ounce jig head with a big giant heavy hook, and that right there can just be thrown out on a ledge or, you know, a deep point or something like that, and that's going to fall head first down to the bottom, and then you're able to just retrieve him and swim him back. But you know, there's a bunch of different options to rig this. You know, there's actually a few different line through kits that you can make this bait a line through. You know, you could run a little straw through here, glue like a drop shot style weight in the belly, and then add a treble hook to that as well, and that's going to make this bait a line through. But one of my favorite ways to rig this style bait that I've kind of stumbled onto here recently is the core tackle tush. So what I really like about this is it kind of combines a jig head and a line through style bait, because it puts that weight inside the bait and just kind of gets it out of the way. So this is the 7/0 hook for these big style swim baits. So you got the 7/0 tush. They got a few different sizes depending on how deep you want to go. This is the 1/4 ounce, have the 1/2 ounce here as well, and a 3/4. But essentially, you're going to bury that weight inside the bait like that. That way, it's totally inside the bait. It looks more natural, and it gives it a more unique action. So, you know, rigging it up, it's very important to go as straight as possible. So you want to start your bait right at the nose of your swim bait and simply just thread him on as straight as possible. You want to make sure that you go straight and come out the back perfectly straight like that. Okay, and now you're basically just going to push this swim bait all the way up over this lead until it goes all the way through there. So I like to add a little bit of spit, kind of helps slide up through there. And you're going to just keep pushing him all the way up through there like that. So now that right there is a jig head rigged swim bait, but all that weight is inside there. So it's hidden, it looks more natural, and it actually, you know, moving that weight backwards inside the swim bait gives it a different action. You know, it kind of helps this bait roll more because that weight is more towards the back of the hook or towards the, you know, the middle of the bait, and it helps this bait kind of roll and have more action. So that's a great way to rig up these, you know, freestyle style baits, I guess you would call them, you know, these bigger Mag Draft Freestyle or the Bass Mafia, I think it's the Naked series they call them. These bigger swim baits, not really a great way to rig them, you know. So this core tackle tush, excellent option. Like I said, it buries the weight inside there and gives it a little bit different action. So that guy right there is ready to get out on the water and catch some big old fish. So this bait's going to get down pretty deep. You're able to fish this on those ledges, on those points. Now I will say, if you're really kind of slow rolling this bait, dragging it along the bottom, the jig head is going to be a better option because that lead is going to hit the bottom and you're going to be able to feel it hitting that shell, that rock, whatever, a lot better than this jig head, simply because the plastic is covering the lead and you're not going to get that feel. You're not going to, you know, that contact is not going to transfer to your line near as much because that plastic is kind of dulling it out. But whenever you have that lead making direct contact with your line, you're going to be able to feel what's going on more. So, you know, if you're really trying to slow roll it and kind of drag it along the bottom, the jig head I think would probably be a better option. But if you're just more swimming this just off the bottom or more in that middle of the water column, I really like the core tackle tush. So hopefully you guys learned something about the big swim bait. You know, like I said, it's post spawn now. The bass are starting to feed on that big bait fish. They're looking for a big easy meal, and a big swim bait like this is an excellent choice. So appreciate you guys tuning in for this video. Hopefully you guys learned something. Leave me those likes and comments down below, and we'll see you guys next time.